Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Installment of Scott Selections here for Tuesday, January 18th. For again, today's play of the day. Quick recap of what we had. So we had a nice winner in the NBA with the Suns -4 at -115 on DraftKings. Suns were trailing going into the fourth, but outscored the Spurs 34-16 in the fourth quarter to win the game by 14 points. Shout out to Devin Booker, who had 48 points, and shout out to Bismack Biyombo, who ended up having 17 and 14 off the bench with Ayton not in the lineup. So a nice winner for us. Look for another winner here on Tuesday, but for Tuesday's card, really not much going on. NBA only has 2 games. Wasn't interested. College has a decent amount of games. Wasn't interested in those. So we're going to switch gears and talk about a sport that is going on right now that we have not talked about on this show for a while. It's going to be tennis because we are in round 2 territory of the Australian Open. And I'm going to look at a matchup involving an American with Reilly Opelka taking on Dominik Köepfer. And that should take place at around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And for the play of the day, I'm going with Köepfer plus 4.5 games at -125 on DraftKings. Time recording of 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Covered reasons why I like Köepfer in the spot. First of all, the same bet is available plus 4.5 games at -165 on FanDuel. So you're saving 40 cents just by shopping around. Now, looking at the actual head-to-heads, they're tied 3-3. However, Köepfer has been on a roll lately, as Köepfer has won each of the last 3 meetings, as he has been really just dominant in those matchups against Opelka. Plus, he has not dropped a set in each of those last 3 meetings. So now the point is he's getting 4.5 against a guy who hasn't beaten him in several years. I understand that Opelka has been a lot better over the last couple of months, particularly with returning. He's one of the best servers on the planet. We already know that. He's still not a good returner by any means, Opelka, but he's getting a little bit better. So maybe instead of being bottom 5, he's bottom 20. But the point is, he's really not known for breaking many guys on a regular basis. And Köepfer's serve has given him some issues in the past. He's a crafty lefty, and I do think that Opelka is going to struggle dealing with the amount of topspin that he generates with a decent amount of his strokes. But you're looking at a situation where, with the lack of breaks, potentially for Opelka, 4.5 games is a really decent amount to cover in 3 sets. Because, for example, even if you have a 6-4, Opelka gets 1 break in there, he still has to break Köepfer another time, not to mention the potential of Köepfer actually winning a set. The odds for both players to win a set is around -200. So people are expecting Köepfer to actually make a bit of a match out of this, to make it potentially 4 or 5 sets. And if it ends up going that distance, I really don't know how Opelka is supposed to cover, because that would involve him winning a set 6-3, which is possible, of course, if he serves first and gets a break. But he might need another break of serve there, and those are really few and far between with Opelka's return game. Now, I know he ended up dominating in the first round against Kevin Anderson. Anderson is a very good server, but we know with all the injuries he's dealt with, he's clearly not the same player. So the name might seem, I'd say, better than the victory actually was. Still a good win, don't get me wrong, but I do think that people are overreacting a little bit to Opelka dominating a guy who is really not in proper form. Köepfer ended up winning in his first round match. I can't say he looked amazing, but he won in 4. But I do think that Köepfer's topspin has given Opelka a ton of issues in the past, and I do think that might be the case once again. I'm not picking Köepfer to win the match. I think he's definitely live to, but plus 4.5 for a guy who is really just dominating the head-to-head over the last couple of years, and against a guy who is not known for being a quality or even mediocre returner, I think seems like a ton, and I'll take the value at -125. So play that once again here for Tuesday. January 18th is going to be on Dominik Köepfer, plus 4.5 games at -125 on DraftKings. Bye, everyone.